And I'll reconvene the regular council meeting for Monday, March 9th, 2026. Before we get underway, we'd like to acknowledge that this council meeting has been held on the homeland of the Tanaka people. Can I get a motion to adopt the agenda of the regular council meeting of Monday, March 9th, 2026? Councillor Stetsky, Councillor Ray. All in favor? Opposed? That's carried. Thank you. Can I get a motion to adopt the following minutes of the public hearing of Monday, February 23rd, 2026? Minutes of the regular meeting of council on Monday, February 23rd, 2026. Mover, please. Councillor Graham, Councillor Popoff. All in favor? Opposed? That's carried. Thank you. Moving into bylaws. First bylaw for consideration tonight is from Finance Department regarding a 5-year financial plan, 2026 to 2030. Bylaw number 4234, 2026. This bylaw is back before council tonight for adoption. Can I get a motion? The council adopt the 5-year financial plan, 2026 to 2030. Bylaw number 4234, 2026. Mover, please. Councillor Ray, Councillor Stetsky. Discussion? All in favor? Opposed? That's carried. Thank you. Next bylaw for consideration is from Bylaw Enforcement Services regarding unsightly premise amendment bylaw number 4235, 2026. Can I please have staff provide a brief overview of the report and bylaw, which is before council tonight for first, second, and third readings?
Good evening, everyone.
The floor is yours. Thank you.
Thank you. Good evening, everyone. Staff are recommending amendments to the unsightly premise bylaw to provide clearer language for both the public and city staff regarding items that are regulated within the bylaw. These amendments include adding the definition of rubbish and derelict vehicle. The terms are currently in the bylaw, but they're not defined. Within Part 3 of the bylaw, we've also, within the amendment, my apologies, in Part 3, we would also redefine the prohibition of derelict vehicles to one or more rather than accumulation, as written in the current bylaw. And that would be to ensure that there's clear interpretation of what an accumulation is. The amendment also includes a clear definition of discarded materials, so that materials used for construction are separate from other types of discarded materials. And also the amendment includes changes to the remedial notice section. Staff are recommending reducing the timeline for written notice to be deemed received by way of mail from 21 days to 7 days within the province, or 7 days local, and from 21 days to 10 days if the owner lives out of province. Within the current bylaw, owners or occupiers who are not local have 21 days to receive the remedial notice and another 21 days to address the unsightly premise for a total of 42 days. The amended remedial notice timeline would reduce the total timeline to adhere to the unsightly premises bylaw from 42 days to 28 days for those who are being mailed local, and 31 days if it's being mailed outside of province. And this means that the unsightly or nuisance properties would be addressed in approximately 1 month instead of 2. This allows for a faster response to issues that impact neighborhood safety and visual appeal. It also helps to reduce potential long-term cleanup costs by taxpayers due to the continued accumulation of items or vegetation. This also improves the response in situations where a property may continue to not adhere to the unsightly premises bylaw. And finally, staff are recommending the request for reconsideration period in the amendment be reduced from 21 days to 7 days. This will allow for the owner or occupier of the property in the 2 weeks to complete the remedial work once a decision is made, rather than decision period being 3 works and they must perfect the work within the same period. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Amanda. Can I get a motion that council give first reading to unsightly premises amendment bylaw number 4235, 2026. More, please. Councillor Stetsky, Councillor Graham. Discussion? All in favor? Opposed? That's carried. Thank you. Can I get a motion that council give second reading to unsightly premises amendment bylaw number 4235, 2026? Mover, please. Councillor Popoff, Councillor Ray. Discussion? All in favor? Opposed? That's carried. Thank you. And finally, can I get a motion that council give third reading to unsightly premises amendment bylaw number 4235, 2026? Mover, Councillor Blissett, Councillor Ray. Discussion? All in favor? Opposed? That's carried. Thanks. Thanks so much, Amanda. The next bylaw for consideration tonight is from Engineering and Development Services regarding zone amendment bylaw number 4237, 2026 at 10th Street South, rezoning from R6 to R1. This bylaw is back for council tonight for adoption. Can I get a motion that council adopt City of Cranbrook zoning amendment bylaw number 4237, 2026? Mover, please. Councillor Ray, Councillor Stetsky. Discussion? All in favor? Opposed? That's carried. Thanks. Next bylaw is from Corporate Services regarding sign amendment bylaw number 4239, 2026. We have staff on hand tonight to give us a brief overview for this report and bylaw, and it's up for second and third reading tonight.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. This report was deferred from the February 23rd regular council meeting. Following discussion at that meeting, staff have made further changes to the proposed bylaw amendment. One of the key things from that previous discussion was clarification on the Highway 395 election signage. So the Highway 3 corridor is the jurisdiction of the Ministry of Transportation and Transit. MOTT does not have restrictions on election signs along Highway 3 through Cranbrook, although they do have it on other highways within the province. The staff have previously stated from the province that they have support for the city to limit the number of signs along the Highway 3 corridor upon adoption of the sign amendment bylaw from 2022, which limited political candidates to 20 election signs. So this does clarify that election signs are permitted along those Highway 395 boulevards through Cranbrook, as long as they do not exceed the 20 sign limit for that specific corridor. Moving to the new amendments that were changed since our previous discussion with council, was regarding the 7 days to remove election signs as per sections 36.1 and 36.7. Staff have since moved that timeline to 2 days. That 48 hours still provides an additional day of grace for candidate compliance following the election, as most elections are held on a Saturday, while still providing adequate time for candidates to remove all of their election signs across the entire community. And then as well, staff also reviewed the proposal for a total of 5 election signs as the limit along the entire Victoria Avenue corridor, and are now proposing to limit the total number of election signs to 10. This still provides staff with a trackable volume of signs and an opportunity to evaluate the sign placements following the election, with further amendment required if it need be. Staff are presenting these suggested amendments to the sign bylaw. However, council can opt to maintain status quo with the current sign bylaw and not proceed if they so choose.
Thanks, Bradley. Can I get a motion that council give first reading to sign amendment bylaw number 4239, 2026? Mover, please. Councillor Brissette, Councillor Ray. Discussion? Councillor Stetsky.
Yeah, thank you, Mayor. So just so we're clear, basically then that gives people 2 days to get the signs off the streets. So they have to have it done by the end of the day on Monday.
That's correct.
Okay, that's ambitious, but I guess it can be done. Yeah, thanks.
Further? All in favor? Opposed? It's carried. Thank you. Can I get a motion that council give second reading to sign amendment bylaw number 4239, 2026? Mover, please. Councillor Popoff, Councillor Ray. Discussion? All in favor? Opposed? That's carried. And finally, can I get a third reading to sign an amendment bylaw number 4239, 2026? Mover, please. Councillor Stetsky, Councillor Brissette. Discussion? All in favor? Opposed? That's carried. Thanks, guys. Thanks again, Bradley. Next bylaw for consideration is from Bylaw Enforcement Services regarding public places amendment bylaw number 4240, 2026. And we have Amanda on hand again to give us an outline of this report. And this is up before council for first, second, and third reading.
Thank you, Mayor Price. Staff have identified some gaps with the public places bylaw and are recommending the bylaw amendment to provide clarification for both the public and staff on what items may not be left in public places, as well as to limit any potential issues or liability with the removal and disposal of items. Some of the items we see left on city property can be quite costly to remove for the city. Recent examples include large wooden pallet structures not used for shelter, as well as rail cars. The recommended bylaw amendments include redefining and expanding the definition of vehicle to include rail cars, boats, construction machinery, all-terrain vehicles, and planes and ski-doos. The amendment would also prohibit individuals from abandoning, storing, or leaving chattel, which is articles of movable personal property, excluding vehicles, for more than 30 days. It also prohibits constructing, placing, or erecting structures which are not used for shelter on city land. And finally, the amendment will allow for the removal of chattel vehicles and structures from public places or city facilities, and would require the owner of the item to pay the city the cost of removal of these items, and it would allow the city to sell any items removed as a cost recovery mechanism if the owner does not pay any costs owing to the city for the removal. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Can I get a motion to council give first reading to Public Places Amendment Bylaw number 4240, 2026? Councillor Stutzky, Councillor Bissett. Question? Councillor Papa.
Yes, thanks, Mayor. So in the bylaw, you're saying abandon, store, or leave any chattel for more than 30 days. So what if they remove it for 30 days and it's back there on day 2?
Councillor, through the mayor to Councillor Popoff, that's a great question. Typically, our approach with bylaw enforcement is always education through compliance first. So, if we were able to identify the owner of that property, that would certainly be our approach. It's something that we would have to evaluate based on the information that we have in terms of how we would proceed in that case.
So, I mean, it's plausible that someone would just play the system and say, okay, I'll move it for a day and back on for another 30 days. So
Yeah.
maybe something to think about.
And if I may, part of the reason why we selected the 30 days versus a shorter period of time is, say an individual left a backpack at a soccer field, right? We would want to allow an opportunity for individuals to come back and claim their property.
Call the question. All in favor? Opposed? That's carried. Thank you. Could I get a motion that council gives second reading to Public Places Amendment Bylaw number 4240, 2026? Councillor Bissett, Councillor Graham, discussion? All in favor? Opposed? That's carried. Thank you. Can I get a motion that council give third reading to Public Places Amendment Bylaw number 4240, 2026? Councillor Ray, Councillor Bissett, discussion? All in favor? Opposed? That's carried. Thanks, guys. Thanks very much, Amanda. Next bylaw is from Engineering Development Services regarding Waterworks Amendment Bylaw number 4241, 2026. We have staff on hand. Curtis going to give us the report and bylaw, and this is again before council tonight for first, second, and third readings. Curtis, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Mayor and Council. Bringing forward the Waterworks Amendment Bylaw to look at updating the water meter and endpoint fees due to increased prices from the supplier. It also add the 1.5 inch meter that we currently don't offer, as well as we're seeing more services for the fourplex and under that need that little bit bigger meter than a 1 inch.
Can I get a motion that council give first reading to Waterworks Amendment Bylaw number 4241, 2026? Councillor Stutzky, Councillor Bissett. Discussion? Councillor Peabody.
Thank you, Mayor. Curtis, seems like the way things are going, like items like this are increasing in price every year. Is there a way to word the bylaw so it doesn't have to come back to council every year or two?
Councillor Peabody through the mayor. In the future, we could look at that. Currently for the large size meters, the 10 and 12 inch meters, we have it the city cost plus 20% to cover our fees and storage fees and handling. So we could look at something like that going forward.
Councillor Stutzky.
Thank you, Mayor. And of course, every time this comes up, council wants to know when are we moving to getting these meters put in place potentially. And I know there's some work being done, but Can you give us an update, please, on when we might actually get to water metering in Cranbrook?
Councillor Stetsky through the mayor. So these meter prices are mostly for new development or new water services or upsizing of existing water service. But when we're looking at universal metering for the entire city, we're currently working on updating the funding model for both the sewer and water systems to include how to fund a water metering program and also other items like asset management and stuff. That'll be coming forward to council later on for future discussion once that study and rate updates are proposed.
Further discussion? All in favor? Opposed? That's carried. Thank you. Can I get a motion that council give a second reading to Waterworks Amendment Bylaw number 4241, 2026? Mover, please, Councillor Ray. Councillor Bissett. Discussion? All in favor? Opposed? That's carried. Thank you. And can I get a motion that council give third reading to Waterworks Amendment Bylaw number 4241, 2026? Councillor Stetsky, Councillor Peabody. Discussion? All in favor? Opposed? That's carried. Thanks. And the final bylaw for consideration tonight is from Recreation and Culture regarding recreation and culture fees and charges amendment bylaw number 4242, 2026. We have Trevor on hand to give us an overview of this, and this is before council for second and third readings tonight as well. Floor is yours, Trevor.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. Thank you. So tonight, the Recreation and Culture Fees and Charges bylaw amendment here. The proposed amendment is to add a definition for Spirit of the Rockies and add a dedicated festival field fee for sports fields. On February 9th, Council received information from Spirit of the Rockies requesting field fee waivers for both the soccer and slow pitch tournaments for the 2026 Spirit of the Rockies. And then on February 23rd, Council directed staff to change the bylaw and change the policy and procedure in the Spirit of the Rockies special events policy, dedicating Spirit of the Rockies as the civic festival for Cranbrook, and come up with a field fee that was agreeable by all parties. So tonight I bring that back at you with the definition of Spirit of the Rockies and the proposed field fee.
Thank you very much. Can I get a motion that council give first reading to Recreation and Culture Fees and Charge Amendment Bylaw number 4242, 2026? Councillor Graham, Councillor Peabody. Discussion? Councillor Peabody, Councillor Stetsky.
Thank you, Mayor. Two questions, if I don't mind. First question, what were the fees for the sports fields previous to this? Like I know it changed for this year, like it went up significantly, but what were the field fees last year?
Mayor Price, City Councilor Peabody. Unfortunately, I don't have that document in front of me right now, but the field fees were, you had per hour, and then you also had per tournament. And so it was a daily tournament fee, which would have made Spirit of the Rockies around $300 a day, I believe.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then supplemental.
Certainly.
And will Spirit of the Rockies still have to pay a damage deposit to use the fields?
Mayor Price, City Councilor Peabody, yes. So the fees and charges bylaw is very specific on damage deposit fees, and staff are working on a proper policy and procedure for implementing, returning, and determining all of the any fees and charges that would come out of that damage deposit before it is returned.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Councillor Stetsky.
Yeah, thank you, Mayor. So of course, this was an idea that came from council. Have you spoken to Spirit of the Rockies about it, and what do they think? Are they happy?
Mayor Price, through Councillor Stetsky, yes, I've had a few conversations with Spirit of the Rockies. They are very excited that we can set a rate that they're happy with, that the city's happy with. I did bring with me a binder of requests that date back far beyond my term here. I have as far back as 2015, where it's continual coming to council for all of the, not only field fee waivers, but, you know, operating the parks after hours, free transit, all these things that we're putting together into the Spirit of the Rockies special event policy and procedure. So it's recognized, it's done once, it's there.
You further? I think it's a real win-win. So, yeah, it's a good move. Thanks for all your work on that, Trevor. Yeah, Councillor Peabody.
Sorry, really quick. Is the city of Cranbrook, are we recognized as a sponsor of the Spirit of the Rockies Festival?
Mayor Price or Councillor Peabody, I would like to say yes, but are we differentiated from anybody else? I do not know.
Yeah, yeah, just with some of the things that we're doing for them here, it might be worth bringing up. Thank you.
Councillor Stetzky. Yep.
Yeah, thank you. And I just wanted to recognize, I think it was Councillor Graham that first brought that suggestion forward, at least first I heard of it, and it's a great idea.
You know, thanks for that. Anything further? Call the question. All in favor? Opposed? That's carried. Thank you. Can I get a motion that council give second reading to recreation and culture fees and charge amendment by law number 4242 2026? Mover, please. Councillor Peabody. Councillor Popoff. Discussion. All in favor? Opposed? That's carried. Thank you. And finally, can I get a motion that council give third reading to recreation and culture fees and charges amendment by law number 4242 2026? Councillor Ray, Councillor Graham. Discussion. All in favor? Opposed, that's carried. Thank you. Good work, Trevor. First item of new business tonight is from Fire and Emergency Services regarding the 2026 Fire Smart Community Funding and Supports Grant application. And the floor is yours.
Good evening, everyone. So this recommendation from staff is for council to approve an application to the 2026 Fire Smart Community Fundings and Supports Program, requesting a grant for up to $200,000 for Fire Smart activities.
Can I get a motion that council approve an application to the 2026 Fire Smart Community Funding and Supports Program, requesting a grant for up to $200,000 for Fire Smart activities? Councillor Blissett, Councillor Stetzky, discussion. All in favor? Opposed? That's carried. Thanks, Michelle. That's great work. Next item of new business is also from Fire and Emergency Services regarding council support for a Community Emergency Preparedness Fund for public notification and evacuation route planning. And Michelle, you're going to speak to this as well?
Yes, I am.
Thank you.
So staff is seeking council's support to apply for a grant to work on public notification and evacuation route planning. So that'll be planning in jurisdiction. So we'll look at modes of transportation, transportation routes, and communication planning in case we have to evacuate the municipality.
Thank you very much. Can I get a motion that that staff be authorized to submit a grant application to the UBCM Community Emergency Preparedness Fund supporting the public notification and evacuation route planning project on behalf of the city of Cranbrook? Over Councillor Popoff, Councillor Graham. Discussion. All in favor? Opposed? That's carried. Thanks so much, Michelle. Good work.
Thank you.
Next item on new business from finance regarding municipal grant program policy and procedures number 40-51. Can I please have staff give a brief overview of this report, please? Charlotte, floor is yours.
Thank you, Mayor. Good evening, Council. So this report is in front of Council in order to amend the municipal grant program budget cap wording to align with the budget cap wording we use in the permissive tax exemption. We're also adding a definition of current year just because of the permissive tax exemption policy or applications always happen in the year before, but sometimes the grant applications happen in the same year that the grant applies to, so we've defined current year. And also, there had been a request from the council table to have a discussion around establishing a cap for individual applications within the program. And staff's recommendation is that we don't set a cap, but rather apply new wording in the policy. And that word being that council has elected to not establish an application maximum. Council will focus on allocating the annual budget to optimize the realization of council's strategic goals across a broad range of not-for-profit and charitable organizations. And the reason for that recommendation is the concern is if we establish a maximum, the applications we receive, we could see an increase in the average, in the average ask. And in staff's observation over the years that we have worked with the new policy, our opinion is that the process that we are following works very well. Council has an opportunity to look at the applications individually, and then council has gets together and reviews the average recommendations based on all the individual reviews, and then has a discussion around where council would like to see the grant fall for that particular applicant. So in staff's opinion, that works very well, and it meets the spirit of the program. It is council's program. So that is our recommendation. The alternate recommendation would be that council ask staff to set a specific maximum in the policy. That's
Thanks,
it.
Charlotte. Can I get a motion that council approve amending the municipal grant program procedures to amend the budget cap wording to align with the cap wording in the permissive property tax exemption procedure and to add a definition of the current year? Mover, please, Councillor Bassett. Councillor Graham. Discussion. Councillor Peabody, Councillor Stetsky.
Thank you, Mayor. Yeah, personally, I like having the budget cap with the municipal grant funding, because what I find has been happening, I'd say over the last like 3 or 4 years, is that we've been getting significantly higher grants than what we can possibly approve. And it's grants that, or I guess it's organizations that we would happily give money to if it was a smaller amount. So if we're not going to put a cap, then I think I would like to either somehow sort of change the wording of what the grant is as being intended for, a smaller amount of, like, under $30,000. That still kind of adds as a limit, but just the organizations that are applying for it at least somehow communicate that these grants are for smaller sums and not larger sums.
If I might, Mayor, through Councillor Peabody, that is the exact path we took in reviewing what our recommendation would be. We have a very wide range of grant amounts within the current program. And as you allude to, we've had some very significant asks that, quite frankly, have been in far in excess of even the budget. Never mind what we would give to, or what council would award to one applicant. This year, for example, we had an application for $100,000, and through council's discussions, council arrived at a lesser amount. And so just because an application comes in at a large amount doesn't preclude council from awarding something less than that council deems to be more appropriate. And back to my reference to the wide range of awards, currently we have some that are under $1,000. If a cap of $30,000, for example, is set, in staff's opinion, it becomes difficult for council to review what was previously an under $1,000 application for somebody who's now come forward with a $10,000 or $20,000 application because that falls below the 30. So I appreciate what you're saying, and those were the thoughts, the path we went down in reviewing this, and the conclusion that we've arrived at, which is the recommendation, is that it is the most, it provides council with flexibility, and it doesn't, I don't want to say encourage, but it doesn't create an influx of much higher applications than we've seen to now, up to date. Yes, there are some anomalies. And the two that I can think of, the one I've already described, and the other one, council decided not to award anything. Council could have awarded something, not necessarily what the applicant requested. So our observation is that staff has done, or council has done an excellent job in their discussions at arriving at something that meets the spirit of the program.
Councillor Sesky.
Yeah, I was hoping you'd put forward option 2 as our first choice, but I guess we can get there after voting on option 1. I don't think it's been a problem. I like the flexibility that council has to look at whatever amount of money is applied for and to make a decision. I certainly haven't seen any issues with that in the past, and quite like the wording that staff has offered under option 2, but I guess we'll see what happens with option 1.
So I'm sorry, I feel like I need to clarify something here. We have 2 caps. We have the grant program cap, the total cap, which is resolution number 1. We are aligning that wording with the permissive tax exemption. So it's approximately equal to the overall tax levy less the road program. So 100 and some or 200 and some $1,000. Then there's also the discussion in option or in resolution number 2 is about an individual cap per application. And it's the individual cap per application that staff is saying or is recommending to not adopt a cap. The first resolution is to maintain the cap, which has existed, but just tweak the wording a little bit.
So if I might then, so number 1 is related to the 0.9% versus the 1%. That's a separate discussion that you want to have from a cap for an individual application. Okay.
Thank you. Councillor Ray? No, you're good. Further? Call the question. All in favor? Opposed? That's carried. Thank you. And can I get a motion? The council not designate an application maximum and approve amending the municipal grant program procedures to add the following wording. Council's elected to not establish an application maximum. Council will focus on allocating the annual budget to optimize the realization of council's strategic goals across a broad range of not-for-profit and charitable organizations. Mover, please. Councillor Stetsi, Councillor Brissette. Discussion. Councillor Ray, Councillor Popoff.
Thank you, Mayor. I support staff's recommendation on this. And the question I would have is for applicants, I think it would be helpful for them to see what has been granted in previous years so they can get a sense of how the program works. And as anyone knows who's written grant applications, you definitely want to read the room and get a sense of what's been approved in previous years. So I think that's just key information for applicants so they can shape their applications appropriately, but I certainly support this recommendation.
Thank you. Councillor Popoff.
Yes, thank you. And further to that, maybe that it's also assumed that the applicants know what the total cap number is for that year's money, so that they don't ask for $100,000 if there's only $200,000 in the total cap. So.
Councillor Popoff, through the mayor, They don't currently because they don't currently, not because of any particular reason, but given what we've had, the discussion we've had today and what we have seen in the past few years, we are talking about, pardon me, embedding that, incorporating that into our communication, yes.
Councillor Stutzky.
And my apologies, I should have brought this up on option one, but I think we need to make it very clear that we're not reducing the amount of money that's going to be available to our groups. When you look at it on, just a quick glance, it looks like we're cutting our support from 1% to 0.9% of the budget, but in reality, we're not. So we need to make that very clear when that information goes out.
Further, council? Call the question. All in favor? Opposed? That's carried. Thank you. Thanks, Charlotte. Oh, next item of new business is from Corporate Services regarding East Kootenay time zone observation. Who do we have on hand? Bradley for this?
Thank you, Mayor and Council. On March 2nd, the BC government, as everybody's sure very well aware, announced the province would be adopting permanent daylight savings time as part of the new Pacific time zone, which is part of UTC 7. The city of Cranbrook and East Kootenay was not included in this announcement as being a part of that announcement. The province noted in its official media release that local governments in the East Kootenay communities can decide whether they want to observe the new Pacific time with the province or not. So the regional district of East Kootenay is gathering feedback from local governments and First Nations before considering making a decision as a region. The local governments can decide their own time observations. However, the process and the authority from the province to do that is unclear, and neighbors could make a different decision for their own time zone observations. So what we have recommended here as the option for council tonight is just to pass a resolution noting that there's going to be collaborative discussions and decisions at the RDK Board of Directors with other member municipalities, and then making a decision at that time at that board. The rest of the report there is also provided as more of an informational and background basis for council's consideration. That's the recommendation on the table for this report. Thanks.
Thanks, Bradley. Can I get a motion that council for the city of Cranbrook participate in collaborative discussions and decisions at the regional district for the East Kootenay Board of Directors with other members of municipalities, First Nations, and regional districts currently in the Mountain Time Zone? Over. Oh.
If I could, as a representative at the regional district, it would help, I think, the two representatives for the city of Cranbrook to have a clearer statement on how we would like to proceed and be able to bring that to the table. So I would suggest to amend or to change that wording to that the community, sorry, I'm just blowing it up for reading clarification, that the council for the city of Cranbrook participate in the collaborative discussions, but bring forward that Cranbrook City Council supports returning to Mountain Standard Time in the fall, and then having no further time changes from there forward, henceforward, however the proper wording would be.
Okay, we had a motion on the floor. No mover, no seconder. No, the other one, the first one, right? So, so
In that time.
why don't we just defeat the first one? And then put that. Doesn't, yeah.
We've captured the essence of the motion, so we're good. Thanks.
We're good. Okay, so that's Councillor Bassett, seconder, Councillor Ray, discussion. Councillor Graham.
Yeah, thank you. I like where it's headed. My only concern is for myself to make a hard, fast decision with such little input so far from community. I would much rather see what the regional district board is saying and then have the discussion at the next council meeting where we can do a hard fast. Unless there's a feeling like this is going to be voted on and approved at the RD meeting coming up. Is it this week? Or when's the next RD?
Yeah, Thursday.
So is that the feel that the RD will vote on this week? And that's my concern, is like, how can, so with only a week's worth of somewhat input via social media and a few phone calls, we're making, or I'm going to have to make a decision that I think has broader impacts. And I also want to say that whatever decision we make, no one's going to like.
Yeah, so I think with the motion we got, it's just to bring, this discussion to the regional district. Certainly if there is a motion that comes off the floor, we wouldn't be in a position to be able to speak to that. There's not enough information, so I think we could probably speak to that and I think make the rest of the board understand that it's a little premature now for this decision. I mean, we have to look at other communities. We have to look at First Nations. There's other people impacted in our area besides just the area director's decisions and the municipality's decisions. So I don't see this. I don't think I see a decision on this for probably a month or two down the road. We've got lots of time. This decision doesn't have to be made till what is it, November? Yeah, till November. So we've got time. But the idea of this is to engage in some discussion now at this point in time. Councillor Bissett.
Just wanted, I mean, we are the largest community in the regional district. And so I do think we have had we've had quite a few letters on this. And we also, I think we need a position going forward. Now, is this hard and fast, die on this hill, etc.? I'm not saying that, but I do think it's important for the largest community in the regional district of the East Kootenay to bring information forward. There's been studies for decades on the impact of time changes, and also the data shows that certainly Mountain Standard, like the standard time zone, is the one, if we can stay with it, it's the healthiest option we have. So it's not a bad starting position, and I think it's important for us to bring that forward. I wanted to get a feeling from our council, so it's not just my own personal opinion or my own facts on this. That's why I wanted to have a position tonight.
So we've got a couple more people who want to speak. Do we have that motion? Can we have it read back just to be clear in what we're speaking to here? Yeah. Okay.
I'm going to try. Okay. The Council for the City of Cranbrook participate in collaborative discussions and bring forward to the Regional District of East Kootenay that the City of Cranbrook supports returning to the Pacific Mountain or to Mountain Time Zone in November of 2026 and remain aligned with the province moving forward. Sorry, Mountain Standard Time.
Thank you.
Okay. Councillor Graham, Councillor Pop, Councillor Wright.
Yeah, that's a supplemental, and it's not that I'm trying to be combative in any way. It's just I feel there are more, as this is becoming, as we see this unfold over the last week, and I think there's gonna be more discussion wanting to happen. My question is that even though it could be agreed at the regional district, does it not still come back to this table for a vote? Like I think there's some procedural stuff that we don't know from the province either. So I think that's something we need to look at, is like, okay, maybe the regional district all agrees that it's Mountain Standard Time and off we go. Does it come back here for a vote, or is that decision strictly left up there? And I think that's a question that needs to be asked. And if it is up there, great. If it has to come back, great. It's just some of the procedural stuff I think needs to be ironed out a bit as we're moving forward on this.
Okay, thank you. Councillor Papa.
Yes, I think I'm inclined to agree with some of the language from Councillor Graham. So we passed this motion that we're encouraging the regional district to go to Mountain Standard Time. The decision will be made across the East Kootenay region, and if collectively it doesn't go to Mountain Standard Time, are we going to stay in Mountain Standard Time? No, we can't as an isolated community, I don't think. So then we would then adopt whatever occurred officially with the regional district. So we're encouraging Mountain Standard Time, but whatever the regional district finally votes on is what we will also go with. Or are we saying, regardless of what the regional district comes up with, we're going to stay Mountain Standard Time for the whole year? So it's a two-parter here. Well, and I guess.
Councillor Brissette, comment?
I guess
Yeah, just a
legally-
comment. This motion is not saying what Cranbrook is doing forever. All it's saying is what this table is saying that we bring forward to regional district. Once the regional district makes its decision, then we'll come back and report on that. And it may be in agreement with what we've said or maybe not. And then we can make a further decision from there.
Sure.
We're not saying what we're doing forever, hard and fast tonight.
Sure. And
We're just saying what Director Price, when he's on regional district, and I will bring forward is Cranbrook's position.
I appreciate that's what we have as our intent, but I'm wondering if that's what the wording also reflects.
Yeah.
Mark, are you okay with
Yeah,
that?
so Councillor Popoff through the mayor, and as further to what Councillor Blissett said, the intent is that, the original spirit of the motion was that the city is going to participate in the RD process. However, as Councillor Blissett said, if pressed at the table for what's Cranbrook's position, then Councillor Blissett and the mayor are not left hanging on their own opinion. They've got some feedback, but certainly number one is that the city is going to participate in whatever process there is. And like we said, it's unclear in what level of public consultation or regional consultation or collaboration is required. So right now it is, we will participate in that process. And Councillor Blissett's statement was just around, if pressed, then at least they are not going on their own opinion.
Very good.
Otherwise, we will
And
participate.
thank you for that. That's the position I want us to be in. I just wasn't sure if that was the intent of the motion, but thank you.
Councillor Ray, Councillor Stefsky.
Thank you, Mayor. I appreciate that this motion has been brought forward. It is important for our two regional directors to have a sense of what the direction is from this table. So thank you to Councillor Blissett for bringing that forward. As has been noted, this is a divisive issue, lots of different opinions. As a person in the community, trying to keep track of the reports on research and those kinds of things, it seems that the evidence indicates certainly the worst thing biologically and for health, physiologically, the worst thing is these twice-a-year time changes. So that's the worst. The best thing is to not have time changes and to go on to standard time. Physiologically, biologically, that is what the research indicates. So the best is to no more time changes, standard time. The second best is no more time changes, daylight savings time. So then, you get in, and I do think it is important to consider scientific evidence for issues like this. The other part of the issue to consider is our integration with services in the province of BC. We live in the province of BC. So if we look at, for example, the Interior Health Authority, up until now, in some cases, IHA has had to manage the Pacific time zone, the Creston time zone, and the Mountain time zone. So those kinds of complexities cost money. And it's us as taxpayers who pay provincially to maintain that kind of complexity. So I think part of this discussion is potentially efficiencies in terms of us being on the same time as the rest of the province, which would be achieved through us returning to Mountain Standard Time in the fall, which would then put us on the same time as the new Pacific time zone. So this discussion is going to happen at the regional district table, but I do think it's valuable that we have our initial talking point, which is the purpose of this motion, and then our two representatives at the table will participate and we'll see where the discussion goes. I certainly agree that we do need additional clarity from the province regarding the legal process for this. So we'll see how those further details get rolled out.
That's a good point. The whole legal process, certainly the province made a statement that, local government has the ability to determine what time zone they want to be in, but nobody seems to be able to find any direction on process or procedure. So, you may have a standalone community. Creston's been doing it for how long? So, I don't even know if it belongs at the regional district for them to make the decision, you know, I mean, we can have a consensus up there, but, you know, procedurally, does it really matter if you vote to or not up there, maybe as a board, but, you know, if somebody votes against it, they may decide to, you know, take it to their municipality and stay on the current time zone. So who knows? So, and that's one of the problems. I don't see this being resolved for several months. I think there's a lot of work to be done working with the province to just see the parameters around this, you know, the legalities and the process and how we get there for sure. Councillor Stutzky.
Yeah, thank you. And Councillor Ray covered this, but I think generally we all agree that changing clocks is not healthy. We should be moving to one time and staying there. And as been suggested, our proposal is that we would, of course, have to stay where we are, being an hour difference from the rest of BC until the fall time change, at which point by going to Mountain Standard Time, we end up on the same time as the rest of British Columbia, and we would stay on that time going forward. And certainly the science has suggested that standard time is much healthier, particularly for our youth and their biorhythms. So I've heard a lot over the last week from different sleep experts, and they all say the same thing. If you're going to standardize, you should be standardizing with standard time, not Pacific time.
Thank you. Further? Call the question. All in favor? Opposed? That's carried. Thanks. Thank you for that, Councillor Bissett. Next item, new business from Engineering Development Services regarding a rotary request for land donation for seniors housing project. Rob, got Rob on hand to give us an overview of this.
Thank you, Mayor and Council. Firstly, apologies for the giant resolution, but needed to be done. So unfortunately, you'll have to plow your way through that one. So staff is bringing this report back for consideration as the bylaw amendments to designate and rezone a portion of land near St. Mary's School was recently adopted. And so further to that adoption, this report is for council to formally consider the letter received by Cranbrook Rotary Club, who expressed interest in a portion of the city lands for the development of a 12 to 14 unit affordable seniors housing project. Preliminary development proposal is included. There's some drawings there. Like I said, they were just preliminary. They basically consist of 3 one-story bungalow styles, each containing 4 one-bedroom dwelling units. And then one building will have a laundry office and a storage area. Should council concur with the resolutions, the applicants being Rotary would then have to proceed through the development permit process, building permit process, and the like to see this project through to fruition. One thing noted as part of the preliminary development proposal is that at the next council meeting, staff will be bringing forward for council's consideration a site-specific floodplain exemption, similar to what was done for the Creekside Townhomes. As part of the subdivision process, we undertook a flood study, which has set specific elevation requirements as opposed to the generic elevations in the bylaw. So that'll be coming forward to council at the next meeting. A bit of background: the subdivision's been taking place. We're almost there. Development permits have been issued. Riparian study was done, so we could issue the development permit. The steep slope study was done, and any recommendations made from those reports will be registered on the title of the property. But I noted in the report that both the geotechnical report and the riparian area report basically indicate development of the site is okay, subject to the recommendations. And the largest recommendation, most significant one, was essentially dedicating or creating that 15-meter riparian setback, which is being done through the subdivision. You can see that on the attached draft subdivision plan. So that's right in line with the recommendations by both the biologists and the geotechnical engineers. But as part of this process, it was brought to our attention that there are some works that are encroaching on city land by St. Mary's School. Probably been there 20, 30, 40, 50 years. And nobody paid attention to actually do a subdivision. You put stakes in the ground. So once that issue was brought forward to staff's attention, we went and met with the principal of St. Mary's just to get an idea of what the issue was, explain what we had identified or visually observed. Both myself and Curtis, the engineer, went out. And then we commissioned a quick survey plan to be done to get an exact understanding of those encroachments. So that's also attached to this report. Essentially, it's a chunk of fence on the south end of the property, a portion of their parking lot, largely would be the part that drops off the bank, and then their gate and an entrance gate. So the subdivision is nearing completion. We're just getting paperwork done by our legal team with respect to the creation of those covenants, and then we can register the subdivision, which will then have a titled property for council should you concur with the recommendation that can then proceed to land disposition. As noted, the land use is now consistent with the proposal for a multifamily site that was taken care of on February 23rd. I think sort of just lastly, I just wanted to note sort of the idea of land donation for affordable housing was identified in a number of different places during our housing work over the couple of years, namely through the council strategic priorities being housing, and then recommendations in our housing strategy and recommendations that came from the housing task force that formed that housing strategy. This type of opportunity is supported by the municipal lands acquisition and disposition policy. We did look at the options that were brought forward by or requested by Rotary, that being disposition through donation or long-term lease. From staff's perspective, we feel that the donation is a suitable option. Namely from the developer perspective, it's from a finance perspective, it's often easier to take care of finances if you own the land versus leasing it, i.e., borrowing it. But at the same, and from the city's perspective, we can address any concerns that the city has through registration of agreements and covenants. So our ownership in the end doesn't particularly matter, so to speak, because our interests can be covered unless council does, for some reason, want to retain full ownership of the lot, and then we do a long-term lease for 99 years, and none of us will be here at that time when it comes time for renewal, right? So it's a long time, or 60 years or whatever it might be. So at the end of the day, I mean, I think disposition through donation is a viable option, similar like we did for Habitat for Humanity.
Thanks for that.
Finally, I guess my final point is the main components of some of the negotiation elements are covered in the resolution number 2. And I just want to highlight on those just so when you go into the resolution, you kind of get the understanding of what we're looking for. So standard clause of the $1 sum, have a covenant registered on title that would grant city first right of refusal on the property if the property was ever to be sold. Yeah. Yep. Okay.
I've got it. Yep.
So that would allow the city to reacquire the property because we don't know what can happen in the future. We presume Rotary is going to be around, but that can change and anything can change. So it's, again, looking out for the city's interests. 2, given that the recommendation is that we provide disposition of the land by donation, we think it would be fair for Rotary to work with St. Mary's School through the city to help rectify those encroachments, kind of as a good neighbor with this development occurring next door. And since they're going to be doing development on the site, I think it would be a reasonable ask of the city to Rotary to move the fence, help move the gate, coordinate the entranceways, minor things that can happen as part of the development process. So it basically removes the cost to St. Mary's School, which would have been a concern because that stuff will have to be addressed at the development of this. So kind of a nice kind of partnership, kind of being a good neighbor. And then it is noted in the plan, but one of the other provisions would be the provision of the trail connection to Rotary Way from 5th Ave South from the development. So it provides a connection through the public road right away that's dedicated to Rotary Way up to St. Mary's School and then connects up to the sidewalks, et cetera. And I think that would be a reasonable request. And then consider registration of the housing agreement and covenants to ensure that it is affordable housing. And then we would have to have our lawyers draft those up. But those are kind of the main interest points that staff saw that would be worthwhile as negotiation items with respect to this land for Rotary. So I'll leave it at that. Thank you.
Thanks, Rob. Great report. Can I get a motion that council accept the request and proposal by Rotary Club of Cranbrook to develop a 12 to 14 unit affordable seniors housing project on a proposed new lot being created by subdivision of lot 218, District Lot 22, Kootenai District Plan 887, except parcel A, C59161, and lot 219, District Lot 22, Kootenai District Plan 887, except number 1, parcel A, C59161, and 2, parts included in plans 9730 and 10114. Mover, please. Councillor Bissett, Councillor Ray. Discussion. All in favor? Opposed? It's carried. Thank you. Can I get a motion that council approve the disposition of land by donation of the lot being created by the subdivision of lot 218, District Lot 22, Kootenai District Plan 887, except parcel A, C59161, and lot 219, District Lot 22, Kootenai District Plan 887, except 1, parcel A, C59161, and 2, parts included in plans 9730 and 10114 to the Rotary Club of Cranbrook for use as affordable seniors housing project, subject to the following. A, for the sum of $1, subject to the inclusion of provision for the property to be returned to the city of Cranbrook with no compensation to the Rotary Club of Cranbrook in the event the property is not used for the purpose intended within a period of 2 years. B, grant first right of refusal to the city of Cranbrook if the property were to be sold for in the amount of $1. C, Rotary to rectify encroachments on the property from the adjacent St. Mary's School property as part of the development process. D, provide a trail connection to Rotary Way along the 5th Avenue South right-of-way as part of the development. And E, registration of a housing agreement / covenant for affordable housing. Mover, please. Councillor Ray, Councillor Bissett. Discussion. Councillor Ray.
I'd just like to thank the management team for all the detail on this motion. I think you've addressed the key points here, and yeah, I look forward to supporting this motion.
Thank you. Further? All in favor? Opposed? That's carried. Thank you. Can I get a motion that that Mayor and Chief Administrative Officer be authorized to sign all necessary documents? Mover, please. Councillor Stetsky, Councillor Bissett. Discussion. All in favor? Opposed? That's carried. And can I get a motion that council grant agent authorization to the Rotary Club of Cranbrook to make all necessary applications for the proposed affordable seniors housing development on the new lot created by subdivision of lot 218, District Lot 22, Kootenai District Plan 887, except parcel A, C59161, and lot 219, District Lot 22, Kootenai District Plan 887, except 1, parcel A, C59161, and 2, parts included in plans 9730 and 10114. Mover, Councillor Graham. Councillor Bissett. Discussion. All in favor? Opposed? That's carried. Thank you. Oof. A mouthful. Great project. The final item of new business tonight is from Engineering Development Services regarding water system upgrades validation report. And we have Curtis on hand to give us an overview of this report. I believe we have Curtis on hand. Oh.
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can, Curtis. Can't see you.
Perfect. Good evening, Mayor and Council. I'm presenting you tonight with the validation report for the Water System Improvements Project, and to gain Council's acceptance of the report and finalize the project budget. The validation report is a summary of the planning that has gone into scoping the Water System Improvement Project. That project contains two parts. The first part is the new UV treatment facility that will remove the city's aging single barrier treatment facility using the chlorine gas system with a new UV disinfection system and on-site chlorine storage. It's a much safer system for the operators and will improve drinking water quality. And then there's an optional portion of the project for the Gold Creek bypass pipeline, which could be constructed if the city is successful in receiving grant funding that has been applied for to the UBCM. Currently, the approved budget for the UV portion of the project is the $12.5 million that was funded through a combination grant of federal, provincial, and the city's borrowing and DCCs. Through the validation process, the city, our contractor Kiewit, and Urban Systems using the collaborative process worked through multiple variations of the project to try and bring the scope and the cost into alignment with that $12.5 million budget. Through that process, it was determined that in order to meet the city's drinking water objectives, a facility that will meet the needs of the community for years to come, building it in today's market with the $12.5 million was not feasible. So in order to move forward into construction, we need an additional budget allocation of $5.4 million, or $5,430,000 to be exact. Staff is proposing the option 1 recommendation for funding, and I'll leave it at that, and we can move forward through the report.
Thanks very much, Curtis. Can I get a motion that council accept the validation report and its recommendations for the final outcome of the Water Systems Improvement Project and authorize staff to execute the recommendations within the report within the approved budgets, and further, that council allocate additional funding in the amount of $5,430 from the following sources to project IPD 0036, 2026 Capital Water Fund IPD 0006, $850,000, 2026 Capital Works Road Program IPD 0001, $2,400,000, 2026 Community Works Funding $1 million, Community Works Gas Tax Reserve $1 million, 2026 Sanitary Sewer Capital Reserve $180,000. Mover, please. Councillor Graham, Councillor Lissette. Discussion. Just a comment, Curtis, I'd just like to thank certainly city staff, our city staff team. This is a tremendous amount of work. These are crucial projects, you know, that have hit the point where they can't be deferred any longer. Thank you for the action that you've taken bringing this to council. And I'd also like to acknowledge our partners that we're working with towards this project. They've been just tremendous to work with, so thank you so much. I'll call the question. All in favor? Opposed? That's carried. Thank you.
Thank you.
We'll move on to administrative updates. The first administrative update tonight is from Engineering Development Services regarding 2026 Capital Works Program update. Who we got? Tony on hand? No, we got, Curtis again?
Oh,
hey,
that'll be my update to start.
All right, on Curtis. Okay.
Thought this was also a good time to bring forward a bit of an update on our 2026 Capital Works program. All our major projects are well underway for this year at either contractor procurement or in the detailed design phase. So the first project on the list is the Beaumont Park Sanitary Trunk Main Replacement. This is a continuation of the Victoria trunk main. So this is the section that runs through Balmont Park. It runs between the bank and the curling rink and the BMX track out to basically Balmont Stairs. So that section has been designed, and the contractor procurement process closed on Thursday last week, and we're in the process of reviewing the proposals. So by the end of this week, we should know who the successful proponent is on that. That project carries on with increasing the sewer trunk main capacity to allow future development, as well as also just the continue current use and flows. The second project will be our paving program for this year. So currently we're doing condition assessment of the roads and looking at using our asset management tools of what pipes need to be replaced underneath versus what roads we can resurface. And we're just reviewing the current damage that happens throughout our annual freeze thaw cycle. So once that's been tallied and we run that through our priority ranking, we'll have the list of projects that will be receiving some resurfacing. PRV4 upgrades, so that's pressure reducing station number 4. The current station, the internal valving is at its end of life and is reaching its size capacity for the volumes of flows. So that project has been awarded to a group called Stephen Engineering, and they're in the process of getting all the materials here and planning out when that switchover is going to happen. There will be some minor interruptions during that, but it won't be anything major as we can feed the community temporarily off the other stations. The upgrades will increase fire flow capacity as well as also domestic flow to reduce the wear and tear on smaller components. And then the last major project for this year will be the sanitary sewer lagoon screener upgrades and replacements. So that's the final portion of the upgrades down at the lagoons from the grant funding that we received from UBCM. So that'll see an entire new screening system at the headworks. It'll be a dual screen system. So if one screen is offline, the other screen is constantly screening, as well as generator backup and some other minor safety upgrades at the facility. This will just create a lot more redundancy and maintain better effluent quality as well as sludge quality. So it should help reduce the accumulation in the lagoons, and what does accumulate should be of a higher quality and easier to remove.
Thanks very much, Curtis. Council, Wayne Stetsky, Councillor Stetsky. Right.
Yeah, thanks, Mayor. I think it's important that people know just how important this Balmont Park sanitary trunk main replacement is. We often will hear people in the community say, why isn't development happening on this particular lot or this particular part of town? And the answer at times is because the sewer and water system isn't in place to be able to handle any new development in that part. So this one, of course, is really important, and Curtis outlined, it's going to support the Creekside Townhomes, the FW Green Home, the proposed Rotary housing project. But I think it's also important, and this may be for the CAO or for you, Curtis, what is the cost these days to redo a street in Cranbrook where you're doing sewer, water, all aspects of it in terms of the cost per block on average?
So through the mayor to Councillor Stetsky, so I can answer that at a high level. Obviously, there can be lots of variation, but a good example, the one block project last year on 6th Street South that was completed. That was one block of road, sidewalk on one side, curb gutter, new water main and water services to the properties. That project was about $1.2 million by the time you go through all the construction and engineering and design. And then if you add sanitary sewer to that, it's another couple $100,000 per block. And then if you're adding storm, it can be anywhere from $200,000 to $400,000 a block. So depends on what's under the ground, but anywhere from 1.2 to 1.8 million dollars, depending what's there.
Thank you. Anything else, Council? No. Thanks, Curtis. Have a good night.
Thank you.
Next, we have admin update from Public Works regarding the 2025 Public Works Annual Report Summary. And we've got Tony on hand tonight to walk us through the summary.
Thank you, Mayor and Council. Tonight I'll be presenting the 2025 Annual Public Works Department Summary. So in 2025, our total service requests dropped by 37% to 1,644. Primary reason for that is the mild winters we've enjoyed. So that's where a high number of service requests come from. Total work orders dropped by 17%. That could be just due to, our work focus for that year. Patching and skin patching reduced by 42%. Big reason for that was last year we focused our roads department more on sidewalk repairs. And so you'll see as we move on that there was a big increase in sidewalk repairs. A water main break, asphalt repairs and meters, so up 19%. So our water main breaks are up again. Sidewalk repair, so as you can see, 30% increase in sidewalk repairs. Last year we repaired 248 trip hazards. The year before that wasn't, we didn't run bring the contractors in for that, so it was 0 the year before. Garbage collected, so we're seeing an increase of 12%, and recycling -2%. So this is some good news on the water. So volume of treatment or water treated, so -14%. And you'll see 2023, 2024. So it's been declining a little bit every year and quite a bit last year, probably a lot of it to do with weather as well. Water infrastructure repairs from 2024, we had 97, last year 109, so there's that 12% increase. Hydrant inspections, pretty steady across the board, 231 last year. New sewer infrastructure repairs, it's showing up 500%, but that's just because it is just a small number. So we had 1 in 2024 and 6 last year. Volumes of hay and ton up at spray irrigation, so that's up 13%. Spray irrigation cattle grazing, that's up 17%. Again, last year was a big focus on asset inventory, so 22,317 assets were inventoried and with condition assessments. And street light inspections down 29%, but we just were focusing on some replacements and whatnot there. So yeah, so as you can see, 2025 was sort of around the 2023 levels in service requests. No huge gains or just sort of a little bit lower, mostly because of weather, we presume. And total work orders were down just based on our work functions from last year. So this slide is showing our water repair costs. So you'll note the second grayed out, or the gray portion is the water main leak repair, and then the green is the water line leak repair. So it sort of looks like the water service line leak repair looks like we're gaining, but when we're stacking 2025 water main leak repairs and water service line leak repairs, we're actually progressively getting worse. So yeah, last year we pushed over the $1 million mark in service line and service main repairs. So it's it's still very challenging for waterworks operations out there. So these are just showing our hotspots, highlighting the importance of us getting at that old infrastructure in the core of the city, all pre-80s, most of it. That's just a 2024, so very similar. And then that's a stack with 2021 to 2025, just showing those hotspots in the core. So just to highlight some projects from last year. So this was sort of outside of our wheelhouse. So we took on the rock scaling project on the rails to trails between Cranbrook and Kimberley. This is just past the bridge. So yeah, it was an interesting project completed by our Parks Department, Kirby. With everything that's going on, we did a lot of security enhancements around the parks, adding cameras and whatnot. At the Public Works Yard, we had a fairly large security project with a lot of theft that's going on there. So installation of additional fencing around the aggregate. So installation of the automatic gates to keep people out after hours. Installation of security cameras and installation of access control. So we were having some issues with public coming into the building and having some issues there. So just like City Hall, put a little bit of additional security there. We've also upgraded, finished phase 1 of the public washroom. So we did this with in-house labor and sort of brought it up to new standards. So genders share the facilities and yeah, so just upgraded a number of our washrooms. Surface maintenance repair. So again, we worked on a lot of skin patching, crack sealing along Victoria Ave, front of Mount Baker School, 30th Ave. This was a long-standing project, the excavation of the spoils screening project. If anyone's noticed the big mountain that we were piling up beside Public Works, so we lopped off the top section of that, and we screened it, and we're actually reusing it in the capital and when we do water main digs. So we're reusing the materials and rather than just stockpiling it. Yeah, and this plow truck is interesting. Sort of got the crew together, think out of the box. So what we did is sort of took our existing plows, which is like a fixed mount, only allows us to plow to one side, not a lot of control. So with this unit, we actually also installed a mini wing. So it goes down and it can actually take you'll see how we currently do things. We have 2 trucks running down the road. Well, with this one truck and the mini wing, which is smaller than those big highway trucks, we can now run down the roads, a large number of roads with just one truck. And then the front plow is a quick release plow. So they can actually maneuver, it can turn and maneuver snow. So we can pull it out of intersections easier, downtown, plow to center. It just increase our ability to manage the snow. So early feedback from crew. We didn't get to use it a lot, but yeah, they think they love it. It's working great. Yeah, so we work through the facility asset condition assessment. So we work through replacement costs, system age, and years remaining. We're determined for 1,443 assets spanning across the 16 main city facilities. And then we did some more in-depth condition assessments on an additional 288 assets. We also tagged them with barcodes, and so that when staff are up there, they can easily just scan and time. They're always putting their time to the right asset, so we get better long term. We'll get have better life cycle costs against our assets, and just be able to make some better decisions on replacement and what it's costing the city. Another big project. So wish I had a picture of the before and after, but what happened here is there's severe erosion. The river was taking the bank where our outfall for the spray irrigation is. So it was all rebuilt and rip-wrapped, and yeah, just we got that done. And I really wanted to highlight this project because this is something that our crews took on, and we did work with a contractor that uses the same type of leak detection equipment that the city owns, and we did leak detection on 48 kilometers of the ductile iron pipe. And if you remember, that's the pipe where our service lines are breaking off. So so how we do that is they take sensors and they install them on things like our valves and fire hydrants and put them in different areas and listen for acoustics and leave them overnight when there's no other noise, and it uses the data and sort of locates it to one point, and then we investigate further from there. So from those 48 kilometers of ductile pipe that we looked at, that the operations looked at, there were 70 hits of potential leaks, and which required the further investigation. 9 leaks, including hydrant that needed to be rebuilt, pinholes and main service lines and main breaks. And the important fact there is that's 9 breaks that crews aren't being called out in the middle of the night, working all night. They can plan them, they can do them on their own time, and it's a very, very successful, project in our opinion. And then we found one large leak, which we're still planning on First Street and Van Horn, that we're still working with engineering on how we're going to repair that, because it does go out on the strip, and it's definitely a challenging one. And just to show you how it works, so they go and put the sensors out there. So this is where that one big leak is, and overnight they come back and they have a report like that, and it actually puts basically marks a line in a picture where that leak is, and that's through learning the acoustics and different things, staff have been able to pinpoint a lot of these leaks. So what they've actually done now, so we're going to continue this program again this year. So get another big chunk of the city, the higher risk linear infrastructure. But what they're also doing on a daily operational level is if they have a a non-catastrophic leak. They'll go and put these sensors in overnight and leave them till the next day. So then it pinpoints within a few feet of where this leak was, as opposed to where before the leak would be coming up out of the ground and they dig, and it could be 30 feet away from there because it follows a pipe or something else. Whereas now with these acoustic monitors, they go there and they know it's highly likely it's straight down from that yellow point. And they're taking it even a step further by sort of looking at the data and analyzing it now and sort of seeing, where it's not accurate and where the best places for these sensors are in our system. So it's it's pretty exciting that this young crew is sort of using data in our operation to do this. And I think long term, I think it's going to be very successful and save a lot of the taxpayers a lot of money just on good planning. And all that data can feed into our asset management. So yeah, that's all I wanted to share today. Thank you.
Wow, great stuff, Tony. Council, any comments, questions? Well, certainly I can sure tell you, we've sure come a long way. I got back in 2005 with fire, so, I have a little bit of knowledge how the conditions and the city's abilities at that time. Man, we've come a long way. The councils over the last number of years have supported, the asset management plan and implementing the program. Between engineering and our public works staff, what I see around the province, I was at the asset management conference last year. I can assure you that Cranbrook is probably in the top, I would bet 10 percentile in the province where we're at with our asset management plan and integrating it into our operations. So, Tony, thank you so much to your guys and again to our engineering staff. Thank you. This is great stuff. Okay, moving into correspondence, we have 3 pieces of correspondence tonight. The first one is from the Mayor of Prince George regarding a petition to the Minister of Justice and the Attorney General. I've got a motion here from somebody wants to move it. Can I get a motion that council receive this correspondence from Simon Yu, City of Prince George, dated February 25th, 2026, regarding City of Prince George requesting signatures in his petition to the Minister of Justice and the Attorney General of Canada, and further, that council sign the petition in support as requested. Mover? Council Ray, Councilor Stetsky. Any further discussion? All in favor? Opposed? Thank you. Next is from the President and CEO of BC BC Council of Forest Industries regarding endorsement of forestry as a solution. Would council like to discuss this, receive for information, or make a motion? Receive for information, all right? Okay, thank you. And finally, we have correspondence from Executive Director of Community Connection Society at Southeast BC, Nancy Reid, regarding funding for the BC Builds project at Baker Park with a draft letter to the Ministry in support of BC Builds project. I think everybody believes we should probably put a motion forward with this one. Can I get a motion that council receive this correspondence from Nancy Reid, MSW, Executive Director, Community Connection Society of Southeast BC, dated March 3rd, 2026, regarding the BC Builds project, Baker Park, and further the council approves release of the draft letter as presented. Mover, please, Councillor Popoff, Councillor Peabody. Discussion. All in favor? Opposed? Thank you. Carried. That now brings us to Mayor and Council's reports. Let's start with Councillor Graham tonight.
Nothing to report.
Nothing. Councillor Papa.
Nothing to report.
Nothing. Councillor Wright.
Thank you, Mayor. Just a few items quickly. So on February 28th, I was pleased to attend the Symphony of the Kootenays concert. Like many others in the audience, we had a student in the Mount Baker Choir, and it was an excellent concert, including last minute conducting by Evan Buchert and Sven Heide filling in for the regular conductor. So the Symphony of the Kootenays has their program out. There's good early bird rates. You can choose the size of package you might want to buy. And there's going to be incoming details about a really cool concert out at Fort Steele, including involvement from the Tunaha. So anyways, that was a great night. March 4th, I was pleased to pop into the College of the Rockies Career Fair, which was very well attended. It was very difficult to find a parking space, which is a good sign. So congratulations to the college for a very successful event. On March 5th, I was pleased to attend along with CAO Furcho and Mayor Price a meeting with the East Kootenay Division of Family Practice regarding their work to recruit family physicians. And I understand that we look forward to them connecting with Mayor and Council further to provide more information on the important work that they do. And then on the 5th, I was also pleased to attend the Downtown Business Association meeting, and huge congratulations to the Downtown Business Association for the initiatives they have underway. They're really, I think, coming at their work with new energy and new ideas and involvement of new folks. So it was great to be there.
Thank you. Councillor Bissett.
Nothing to report.
Councillor Peabody.
Thank you, Mayor. Just branching off of what Councillor Ray was saying with the DBA meeting. One event that they do have coming up in the future is on June 5th and 6th. And it's going to be a downtown in Bloom shopping event. And what they're hoping for is for the downtown Bloom event to correspond with the flowers being out from the city. And it sounds like they've already been in talks with Kirby, so it should align. But if we can just make sure it's written in black ink and not just penciled in, that would be great. Thank you.
Councillor Statsky.
Yeah, thank you, Mayor. I'd like to thank Councillor Ray for her recognition of the Symphony of the Kootenays. I think we have a spot on the board for you. College of the Rockies, it was a great job fair and very well attended, and great to have the city represented there as well, seeking employees. So very well attended. I was at a meeting at the Foundry today, and I guess this is for CAO Furcho. And when I parked and then started to walk across the street, I said, I wonder, where is the disabled access to get people into the Foundry? Anyways, I went in, I had the meeting. It's about the need to have detox and recovery centers for youth in this part of British Columbia. But as part of the meeting, they said, well, if you're on council, do you mind mentioning the city to maybe have a look outside at our sidewalk and see whether we can provide some access for elders? So if you could have a look at that, CO Virtual, that would be great. Lastly, an individual in the community brought to me a real concern they have about this controversial comedian coming to Cranbrook. I'm not going to give a name, I'm not going to give a date or a time, but there has been a fair bit of concern expressed by a number of groups about this individual. And the request was whether or not City Council would get involved and take a position. And really, it's not City Council's role to get involved in sort of what happens in the community around that aspect. But this individual said he was concerned enough that he would even contribute financially to helping the Key City Theatre out if they canceled the individual and had some kind of legal and financial result from canceling them. And it was, I guess it was canceled in Nanaimo, I guess. It came to City Council. Again, City Council did not take a position, but the board there in their theater decided to cancel that individual. So I'll just leave it that there's a lot of concern in the community. A lot of people would be really happy if the board decided to cancel completely the ability for this individual to come to Cranbrook. Now, the board did say that they were concerned about legal and financial implications because it's a contract that they have signed with this individual. They also said that they have taken steps to make sure that something like this will never happen in the future. And to give them more opportunity, I guess, to cancel what can be considered an inappropriate event being held in the city. So I'll just leave it at that. Lots of concern. If the board decided to review their decision and could find a way to prevent the individual from coming here, I know a lot of citizens in Cranbrook would be very happy.
Thank you. And I have nothing to add, so that brings us now to, to the close. I'll get a motion to adjourn, please. Councillor Graham, Councillor Blissett, all in favor? Opposed? That's carried. Thank you. We are adjourned.